Hey friends, we are looking at the Modular City Hospital by Tokmoc. This is set number 66066 with 1,888 pieces. And in this video, we're going to look at this entire city hospital. We'll look at each floor. We'll look at the minifigs too. And this is a set that comes apart. It's modular, so you can remove it at the second floor, the third floor, even I believe the roof lifts off as well. And it comes with a ambulance right here, a gurney, and the entire backside is open so that you can see the different areas that are inside, recovery areas, procedure rooms, the registration area. There's even a bathroom. There's a helipad on the top. So there's a lot to look at here. So let's get started. All right, so starting on the ground level, on the around the entrance, we've got our sidewalk. We've got a nice entry area with this rainbow style pattern and a fountain, brick-built fountain, a little bit of water, and these little like stone pigeons around that fountain. And above it, it has these awnings, which is nicely done with that red trim. Brick-built crosses that let you know that this is a hospital. And everything that you see that's a decoration here is printed. And the prints have English and sometimes Chinese. So this is a recycling bin, and underneath it is primarily Chinese. And there is a sign here that says Parkade, but it also has a little bit of Chinese on it too. And turning it around, you'll see that this is the bigger entrance with double doors. And it has a wheelchair access sign right here in front in case that's where somebody wants to park. And let's see, we'll go around to the other side here. On the interior, we can see the registration area with a laptop. Unfortunately, the laptop is sort of free floating, which is kind of a bummer. It keeps sliding around. There's a phone on that counter, two chairs, a mug. This looks like a clipboard right there too. And we'll zoom in a little bit closer once we start removing the layers, the levels. There's a gurney right here too. And that gurney has a cross on one side of it. And there is also an ambulance. So let's take a look at that ambulance. So it is brick built. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. Brick-built ambulance, says ambulance in English and Chinese, and it has a door, but that door is not really big enough to get in or out of. And it has these side view mirrors, but I had to fold them because otherwise you can't fit them through this narrow part of the building there. And then it says ambulance. It's got a window that is a printed window, which is a little strange. And then the back, we've got actual windows, and it opens up. So look at this. You can open that entire thing up. The roof stays intact. The hinges are mostly hidden, and it's big enough to put a minifigure in there, but it's not big enough for the gurney. Like the gurney cannot fit in there unless you take this top part of it off. Then maybe it'll fit. Let's try it. So I'm taking that, whatever that part is on the top of it, and I'm sliding this in now. No, it's not going to fit. Not going to fit. So I'm not sure what the deal is there, but yeah, you can put figures in there at least. And it's got emergency lights. And yeah, that's it. It's nicely built and it works for what it is. I don't think you're supposed to have blue in the US for ambulances, but I could be wrong. All right, then zooming back in, that bottom level here, it does have this kind of a gate that keeps cars from going in there willy-nilly. And it doesn't really turn or anything, so it would have been nice if it lifted or had some sort of feature, but that's not what it does. And then going up one floor, we see that there is quite a bit of greenery, that whoever's doing the gardening or the landscaping has just allowed stuff to grow up the side of the building, which is probably not sanitary. I don't know who signed off on that. There's an HVAC system right there, good use of windows. All the windows you can see they're trans blue, and you can see right there that there is like an MRI machine back there, and you can see some of the details of the things that are in there. And there is a balcony here with a door. And you'll see when we get the layers removed that the doors are a little bit problematic. For example, this door actually doesn't open. And even if it could open, it's blocked on the inside by some of the things that you're building. So it's nice, though, that there is a balcony so that you can enjoy some fresh air if you needed to. Here is the bathroom. So if you're using that bathroom, everybody outside can see what's going on. And close up here, you can kind of get a better view of that restroom. There is a sink build. There's a light in there, a toilet. I think that might be the button to press the toilet, flush the toilet. One door to get into that MRI room, and then another door, and I think that is a procedure room of some kind. And there's a cart outside with a needle, some drawers, and then there are signs along the top of each of these that tell you what's going on inside each of those rooms. And then going into that procedure room, you see it looks a little bit like a dentist office with a big old chair, but this is probably some of the surgeries they do in here. There's not enough room for this chair to lean all the way back, and there is a lamp on it too, and then some sort of a cart, and then another station here with a small table in the back there as well. All right, and then let's go up one more floor. From the outside, we can see that this room here is more of a like a intensive care maybe room where they've got the monitors. Everybody kind of can get hooked up to it. There's a bedside table. There are additional equipment, but the bed is a little bit of a bigger bed, and this patient gets the entire room to themselves. And then this is, I think, what they called the recovery room, I want to say, and it has 3 beds in it, and they're nicely laid out. And we'll take a better look as we start to take the floors off. But let's raise the camera a little bit so you can see the helipad. Oh, before we do that, check it out. There's another bathroom here. Totally forgot. So yeah, there is another bathroom right there in the corner. I think that's funny. Okay, let's raise the camera. So with the camera raised, I think we can get a better look at these 3 beds. There we go. So there are 3 beds there, and they have charts hanging off the ends of them in yellow. So once we turn this around or get the roof off, I think I can show you those charts. And one of the beds is unmade, so you can actually put a figure in there. And then from here, we can also see that there is a helipad on top. So it has the letter H that's brick built. It has a small garden off to the back here. It has these landing lights, and then this is some sort of like a maintenance structure over here on the side. And as far as architectural details, you now get a big blue cross up here, a little bit of detail there. I like that this is curved. The entire front of it is curved. So they've continued that curve all the way down with the windows as well as these plates. And it's good use of the white and the red alternating throughout to kind of give it that hospital or emergency vehicle kind of feel to it. It says hospital here. This is actually a couple different parts. So this is one part here to the bottom of that A, and then the very bottom of that A and the L is another printed part. And so they had some issues lining that up. You see how those little 2 dots are there. They're meant to be part of that A, but because of how they've had it line up, it didn't line up. And then another architectural detail over here on this side. I don't know if there's anything to look at really on the roof side of here. Not really, no. Yep. So that's the entire turnaround. Now let's start taking the layers off. Okay, so the the roof has been removed, and you can see the three beds a little bit better. And this says observation room in English and Chinese. And let's see if we can pull one of these beds out. Oh, they're in there really good. Okay, so we're just going to flip around or pull this off so you can see one of those charts. So this is on all three of the beds. It's just a little chart, and it's mostly in Chinese actually, but it's so small you may not even really notice. And you'll see here one of those beds does not include any, it's not nicely done the way the other ones are, like the bed is made. This bed is not made, and it has these exposed studs, which I think is so that you can put a figure in there, and they can kind of be sitting in bed. Let's try it. So I'm going to grab one of these figures that it came with, and boom, it's the figure's kind of sitting up in bed. Now the bed is a little too small for this figure actually, right? Like if you were to try and lay a figure down, they're not gonna fit. So they've kind of skimped on the size there, I think. All right, and then the next room over you can see is this more well-equipped patient room. Translucent yellow here, I guess for an LED light. Translucent yellow there. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe it is like an IV drip or something of some kind. You see some vitals on a display, and then a nice little side table with a flower on it. So that's kind of nice. And then let's see, what is this? Let's turn this thing around. Oh, more instrumentation and vitals. So it looks like we're seeing a heart rate there. Okay, and then the bed. This is a longer bed, so this might work out better for a patient. Let's see if she's sitting in there and we put her feet into those particular studs. How does that go? It goes better. It goes better. There we go. So that's how she would look in there, and I think that's sized a little bit better. But this is a nice, big old sized, generous room. All right. And then she has access there, kind of a narrow doorway, but she has access to a bathroom. And so with the lights in there a little better, you can see that bathroom a little bit better. It has toilet bowl, flush, the tank, and a sink with a faucet. And I don't know what that would be, maybe soap or something next to it. All right. Okay, so now let's take the next level off. Okay, with that other layer removed, with our third floor removed, you can see this procedure room a little bit better. And we see this cart, and we see a jar that has a red cross on it, another jar, and this is a cart that opens, so it has a little bit of a door. But what do we have in there? Oh, there is a tool in there. I forgot about that. So there's they give you something to put in there, scissors, and then this is probably a proper IV drip. And the chair itself is kind of cool. It's nicely built. The lamp is attached to the back of it, which is kind of a miss. They probably should have attached this lamp to the base instead, because with it the way that it is, if you were to try and lean it back, the light goes with it, and then it ends up hitting the wall, and it doesn't quite make sense. But I can see why they did it the way they did. It's probably a little more economic of a build to do it that way, and it's also a little bit harder to get a person in there too, so not going to try. And then there is another, like a stool here, there's another station here, and it's probably just a sink station, a syringe hanging off the side of it for some reason, and a cup. All right, and then there is this hallway. The hallway has one of these carts, another syringe, a shelf, and I don't remember if we were supposed to put anything inside these drawers. It looks like no. The drawers are empty. Yeah, they're empty. Okay, and then I'm not sure what the signs say. This one says treatment room. This one says consulting room. Consulting room. And then this one says toilet. All right, so let's go in the quote unquote consulting room. Honestly, that's probably a bad name for it. It is the MRI room. So it has, whoa, there goes the ambulance. It has an MRI that you lay down and then you get pushed into the tube, right? And they had a chance here actually to make it an open end. It probably wouldn't have been big enough for a minifigure, but I think they should have left that open. They probably could have left that open right there so that it would have this, idea that you could push somebody into the tube. So I don't know why they did that way. And then I wanted to point out the door and why I thought the door here was problematic. So the door actually doesn't open because it gets in the way, the studs get in the way. So you are not able to open it there. And then even if you could open it, there's no clearance on the inside to walk through. I mean, there is barely some clearance, but not much. So I think that's one of the things they did just to show that there was a door. Maybe it looks nice on the outside, but they didn't really think about playability that much, I think. There is this item on the corner here. Let's see what it says. It looks like it's maybe a TV or some sort of monitor readout. In the instructions, there was a mistake. It actually asked you to put it this way, facing the wall like that. And I went ahead and made an executive decision to turn it around. So there we go. All right, and then nice little detail there for that window and that HVAC system. Okay, and then let's pull this layer off too. Okay, so you see the kind of parking garage area. It's pretty spacious, and our ambulance has a lot of room until it gets to this bridge, and you can see here that if you had the side view mirrors out, it just doesn't fit. So, but nice and spacious. It's cool. It would have been nice if they had added a doorway right here. If they had a door here into the lobby, I think that would have been good, but they didn't. Instead, there's waiting seats or chairs there. And there's that loose laptop again. We're just going to yank that out. Better look at the desk, registration desk, the cup, more of those blue chairs. And then this sign here says hospital on it. It says Monday, 9 a.m. And then the rest of it is mostly in Chinese. And then you've got a clock on the wall there. Nice shaping for this desk too, by the way. And they even were able to work in multiple colors to kind of give it that definition. And inside the lobby, it has that red line, which I think is kind of nice. It's got a water cooler too. Nice little build for this water cooler. Let's see if we can yank that out real quick. So it has cups, a bigger cup, water cooler, and then the area where you put the water in. So Tokmoc does include minifigures. It's not documented in the product page, but once you open it up, that's a nice surprise. Of the eight, most of them are civilians. So patients that you can see are over here. One of them is in a wheelchair. We'll take a closer look at him. And then you've got 3 hospital staff as well. So starting with the staff, you can see one of them is wearing a mask. Maybe it's a surgical mask for the procedure. And you see they have name badges, lab coats on. The printing is not great for the legs. It should be white right there, but it's not. And same with this one. This one is wearing an entire lab coat, but the printing on the legs is not white enough. And then this staff member also looks fairly good as well. And there's just a bit of printing on the knees for some reason. And for the faces, you can see the faces are not really as well designed as you would see with Lego's faces, but they're there and they're still, reasonably good looking. And the hair is hair that we've seen from Lego's catalog. But as far as like posability and everything, the figures do feel a little bit loose when I was posing them and moving them around, but not terrible. They're just slightly more loose. And then on the back, there's no printing on any of them, and there's no printing on their heads either. Let's take a look at our buddy in the wheelchair. So he comes with a wheelchair that's built out, and let's take him out of that wheelchair so you can see him standing. So He's not happy. Look at that expression on his face. He is in some major pain, poor guy. And I don't know what that is. Maybe he's ripped his shirt and there's a bandage there. I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe that's a weird logo. But if you look at his leg, it's definitely wrapped up. So he's had a bad day. Okay, and then we've got these four civilians, and one is wearing a mask, and it looks like maybe there's a suggestion of a skirt that she's wearing. This is probably maybe an older gentleman who's got a sand blue hair piece, and a very worried expression on his face. This guy, who looks like Albert Einstein, also has a worried look on his face. And then she's in a good mood, so maybe she's there for something happy. Or maybe she's just visiting and heard some good news, and so she's happy about that. She has printing on her legs too, like I think these are pockets. No printing on the back of anybody here as well. Okay, so final thoughts. I think this is a model that fills a void right now. There are a couple times this month, this past month, where I've heard people say, we really need a hospital modular. Nobody's made a hospital modular. Well, here's a hospital modular, and it's multiple floors. It's got a full interior. It's got a lot of different rooms. And so I think it does fit the need, but with the big asterisk, right? With a big caveat, and that is that a lot of the stuff on here is in Chinese. And that if that bugs you, you can leave those parts off, and it would still be a successful model. The other thing that is not quite right is that the way that they've made those interiors don't quite work with minifigures. There are some things that are blocked off, like that door, and there are some strange quirks that, you know, feel like it's from a foreign country. Like this is how they make hospitals in other countries, but not necessarily here in the US, which is okay. We're sort of used to that, right? Like when Lego makes modulars, they do them with a European flair. So sometimes there's things that they do in other countries they don't do in the US, and so you get to learn that. So if you take this as a learning opportunity to say, okay, well, this is how other countries might lay out a hospital, then now you know there's something there for you to learn. There's no elevator to speak of either. So depending on how accurate you want things, there's no way for your minifigures to get from floor to floor. I do like that they put this railing in here. It sort of lets you know that they know that there's an open backside, you know. So that's kind of funny. And then it's an opportunity for you to put your helicopter on top too, if you were looking for a hospital that had a helicopter. This ambulance build, it has its moments where I'm like, oh man, that is a great build. But then sometimes I think, oh, it's a really kind of weak build, right? It's a 4 wide. There's only so much you can do in 4 wide. So it was almost great. It was almost great. And it's just strange at the scale, but hey, better to have included one than not to include one. So if you are looking for a hospital modular, maybe this is one to get to add to your city, and then you can tweak it to your liking. If that's what you want to do, you can tweak it a little bit for it to work for your particular needs and how you want it to work for your city. All right, so there you go. I hope you got to see everything you wanted to see. Like the video if you like, and if you hit subscribe, that'll help me keep bringing interesting sets to share with all of you. Okay, thanks so much.